If anybody's got any questions, we are sort of ready to answer them. And just put a hand up. There's a hand up over there.
Hi. Hi, Chris. How long did it take you to write a story? And also, there's some very dark bits in that, aren't there? So I'm thinking, Kate's my neighbour, I'm thinking, should I move house?
Yes.
I mean, I liked it, obviously, otherwise I wouldn't be here and I've been watching it, but I just wondered, how long did it take you? And the whole writing process is the bit I find really fascinating.
Well, yeah, I was trying the other day, actually, to, look back and figure out when the spark of the idea actually started. It's always very hard to know exactly. I have discovered Word docs and stuff that reveal sort of Ren-style stuff in 2011. And actually, when it first started, the character was called Nira. It was sort of pulled from another idea and things, and then became Ren at the end of 2011. So in a way, from then, because we started sort of with a vague idea of this girl with a mark, and that was a bad thing. And then where we could go from there, outlined a sort of synopsis of events, including stuff that follows on from this. And then I'd started writing a first episode, and Chris is a much quicker and better writer than I am. So
I'm quicker, definitely.
And so I sort of mosey about these things and talk about them and sort of develop them in my head, but writing them on a blank piece of paper I find really difficult sometimes. So in the end, I think, after discussing for a long time, and we still only had an episode 1, you went, shall I just go and write this? And I was like, yeah, that's a really good idea. Go and finish it for me. And then once we had that script, we were back and forth.
Yeah, the point sometimes is that you can think about an idea for so long and all the different variations on the story. We can do this, we can do that. Sometimes it's good just to get something down. And we knew that it was going to be a 6-part series. So
yeah, if anyone's here who's Kickstarter, sorry.
So as soon as you get the structure down for the 6-part, then it works a lot better with then coming up with ideas within that structure. And actually what happened, just to clarify the whole down to 5 episodes, when we were rewriting, I think draft 4 or something like that, of the script, we actually got to the end of episode 5, and I definitely felt, as you've just seen, that should be the end of it. Another episode might have just sort of waffled on a little bit and stuff, but actually that's the cliffhanger you want to end it on.
Yeah, exactly. We were always struggling with the 6th episode. The 6th episode was always going to be a bit more of Hunter and Ren kind of getting to know each other suddenly, like forced together, and then going, oh, who the hell are you, and things like this. And we realised the way we'd sort of done it, that if we actually did that and put that in, then we'd sort of do this, and then and it would just sort of end on a bit of a meh, whereas now it kind of, hopefully you're satisfied enough that you've seen a lot of stuff, but you're still going, I want to see more. And that was what we wanted to do. It just worked that way. So yeah, plus we run out of money.
Another part of the writing process that I sort of particularly enjoy is that with a series like this, we had to go back and look at some backstory as well. And there's some gods mentioned in the show. There's the Nirith, god of the light, and Nardiath, who's sort of god of the dark, if you like. And we've kind of gone in and created this whole sort of creation of the world, sort of almost like in the beginning there was light story, an Adam and Eve story. How did these marked people turn up? How did that come about? And we are going to release that, I think, tomorrow or Tuesday, just so that people will have an idea. If they read that, they will have an idea of what kind of world am I coming into, and what do the people in this world believe. And it was quite an incredible challenge creatively to start from scratch, literally. There is nothing in the world, and then what happened, and that was quite an interesting
Chris did
one.
loads of that backstory, generating the myths of the gods and things like that. some of our pledges of the Kickstarter, who I think are here, hopefully, did Your Face on a Coin, which was one of our rewards. And from that sort of idea of okay, we're going to have these guys on our coin, who are these people? You know, if they're going to end up in the show, we haven't made those coins, unfortunately, yet. We're going to be. So Chris and then we all came up with this idea of they're actually the North King, which you hear the Master mention at one point. So again, all of this sort of backstory of where did the Knath come from, how did they start, what are the Mari Rai, all of those sort of things have been thought about and developed just enough to get us to here. But there is so much more that we can do as well. But yeah, and all that sort of backstory of things, which we'll hopefully be releasing a little bits and pieces on the website, but also without giving away too much, because the idea of the story is that we follow Ren as she discovers these things, we discover them. So if we put too much out, then you'll know too much.
Anyone else? Questions? There's one there.
I found the music worked incredibly well through it. It was very powerful and you had a very strong theme. Can you say a bit more about how that came about and who was responsible?
Yeah, I can. The composer's called Rob Westwood, who can't be here today. And Rob actually came on board on Kate's last project, was called Born of Hope. And he's he's a massive fan of the Lord of the Rings. I met him on a set on a completely different film. It was a zombie film, and he was going to make some music for that. The director sort of told me randomly, "Oh, Rob is a great fan of Lord of the Rings," and I was like, "We've got 1 month to go on Born of Hope, and we've got like 5 minutes of music." So I played it quite cool. So I met Rob. And just went, yeah, I'm sort of doing this Lord of the Rings film. And then went over there and he sort of went, Lord of the Rings film? And before he knew it, he had been involved. He kind of, I think he wrote about 45 minutes of the music.
I think he definitely did over half of the film in the end, but in stages so that he almost didn't realise it. So it was like, you just do this sort of little section here and deliver it, and then it was like, brilliant. Do you want to do this little section just here? Delivered it. It's like, and maybe this one? It's just like sort of slowly just filtered through until, basically you've done pretty much the whole film.
So with this one, just like the rest of us, we were quite interested in doing something that was original. So it's all the original idea, all that sort of thing. So for him as well, there is a certain, I guess there's a certain expectation when it comes to fantasy music. And I think we all sort of, without knowing it, we know exactly what fantasy music sounds like. But his challenge was really to make something that was specific to Ren. You had a long chat with him about maybe bringing in some Celtic influences as well. But basically, he's one of those guys you show him a scene, and he more or less instinctively knows what to do with it. And I must admit that there hasn't been much where we had to go back and go, that didn't quite hit the mark. No pun intended. So yeah, I mean, in terms of process, it was mostly knowing him in advance and him knowing us. That was the factor that actually made it really work. So yeah. The soundtrack will be available, not in the foyer, but it will be available for a download later on.
Absolutely.
That was brilliant. Thank you so much for that, everyone who's involved. I loved it. The question I have, do you think more movies are going to be made like this? Is this normal or is this a one-off?
That's a good question. The reason why there's not a lot of quality sort of fantasy stuff out there on low budgets and done with Kickstarters and stuff like that is because it's hard.
It's crazy idea.
It's really just, kids don't do it at home. It's really difficult. All you guys who are involved, you kind of know how difficult it is. But at the same time, it's when it happens and it works out, it's so rewarding. I think a part of why definitely a lot of the actors wanted to get involved and a lot of the fight team. Where's Ronin? He's over there, Ronan over there.
We haven't even thanked Ronan or the cast properly.
No, we don't want to thank the cast.
Please thank Ronan and the cast and all of the fighters and things. Because really, without them, there'd be nothing on screen. There's no point in us being there if the cast and the fighters and all of the behind-the-scenes guys are there or not there. So yeah, thank you.
But I think the reason why a lot of those guys really wanted to get involved is because it's so rare that you get an opportunity as an actor or as a fight director or a fighter to actually do something that is like that. That is a fantasy. I know for myself, every time someone asks me to do something and they mention there's a sword involved, I'm off it. I don't have to be paid. I just need, run around.
He just needs plasters.
I didn't get hurt at all. Not much. So in sort of answer to that question, don't really know if it's going to catch on, because there has been some production that kind of started out, realised how difficult. I think our sort of blessing was that Kate had done it before, so we sort of knew what to do on a low budget. Otherwise, I think it would have sort of probably fallen flat. I think.
Yeah.
Is that a good enough answer? Thank you.
I have one. Are the Knarth going to get new helmets that are a little shorter to get through doors?
When we first, we have to sort of say that the armor, or all of the costumes, obviously Miriam and I and all the guys, we sort of created all these costumes from scratch. The only thing that we really didn't create from scratch was the Knath armor. And we were very lucky that, again, someone from Born of Hope, John Peck, who runs Norton Armories down in Gloucestershire, and supplies armor and various things to films and also makes LARP armor and things like that. And John kindly got on board this one again, and we went down there for a few days, and we went and basically looked through all of the stuff he had from all these productions, and he had, and actually the Commander's Cloak is from there as well. And we sort of picked out various things, tried on different armor. When we were first looking, they didn't have the plume. The helmets that we were looking at didn't have the plumes on them, and I personally hated them, and wasn't sure what we were going to do. I didn't like the helmets, didn't think they were going to work. And even actually until the last minute, until we sort of got them on set and stuff, in a way, I was still a bit iffy about whether these would work. Once the plumes were on, they were much better. But yeah, awkward as anything. The guys who wore those daily, not even the helmets, but the armour as well. And these guys, I mean, little known fact that the guys who were banging their heads and things was actually Claire, Squish, who's unfortunately not here, who played one of the guards, this man, Chris, and Duran. Those four who arrest Sophia, who arrest Ren, are actually all of our other guys dressed up. And those armour pieces, I've tried one on very briefly, and they are the most uncomfortable thing I have ever put on in my life. So the guys who wore them endlessly in Epping Forest, hats off to you, literally hats off.
So I think, Robert, yes, probably look at some sort of different type of Knath when they go off.
We could make the doors taller. We
could
just
do as
just
well.
a little hole. Yeah. We probably. I mean, we're already talking about the idea of a sort of an elite SAS style. Like.
I'm glad you put the A in there.
An elite team of Knath who have a different outfit, one that ideally we could actually design from scratch and get made from scratch. But again, this time, budget-wise, it wasn't possible. So
one more question, if there is.
Okay.
There's. Oh, there.
I just think we all want to know season 2. When's it happening?
I'm surprised that question took so long to come out. Season 2. It's an unknown quantity completely with this sort of thing. Obviously, we are really interested in doing more with this. I mean, we've left you with a to be continued, for goodness sake. So we really want to see this story develop further. We want to explore the world more and other characters and bring in new characters and all that sort of stuff. But at the moment, we just don't know. I mean, we've been so much working towards sort of post. I mean, we were this close to the wire just for the screening, and we still have to go back in and tweak little bits for the launch on YouTube, one of which is on Tuesday. So we haven't had much time to really sit down and talk about season 2 properly. And all of our actors who so kindly came on board for this one, although we've sort of, again, talked about it briefly in amongst sort of stuff going, what are you interested in? Oh, yeah, I want to do more. But it's, yeah. Oh, and the main thing for season 2, or for any future projects regarding sort of the world of Ren and things, is budget is a big thing. Brilliant! A fiver will go a long way. But yeah, I mean, the thing is, it's just, we did this with the absolute bare minimum, about £40,000, and it was wonderful, and so many people were so freaking generous to make this actually happen, but it's not a sustainable way of doing a project. So we would need to raise quite a lot more to do this sustainably. So money is a big thing, availability of actors, schedules, what we're going to write for it, because although we've got, ideas for it, it's not that, like, there's a script sitting there ready to go.
Give me half an hour.
I'll knock something up in the bar and.
Yeah, just if you have any ideas, just let me know, and I'll do that. Well, one of the main things about a possible season 2 is obviously how well season 1 is going to do. So, I mean, you guys have been so generous. You turned up tonight, which was amazing. A lot of you have turned up on set doing all your stuff. You can do us one more favor, and on Tuesday at 8 o'clock UK time, sit by your computer and just keep
watch
clicking.
it again and tell your friends, and put it on loop. Just basically, although you guys have now seen it, and so you know where we're going with it, you know what, the second and third and fourth episode happened and stuff. No spoilers, obviously, but tell people. If you liked it, tell people that you liked it. Tell them it's great. Tell them to watch it, because if we don't get an audience online, then there won't be a season 2. So, because no one's going to back it, sort of thing. So, but if we get a great audience, it'll make people pay attention, and there's the option of more stuff. Whether it's a web series, whether it turns into telly, whether it turns into a feature film, whether it turns into something else, who knows? But we would definitely like to do more with it. That's for certain.
Yeah. To sort of round off the evening, I mean, we're all going to be out, especially Nick, out in the bar.
Oh, he's still here. I thought he was already there.
And if you have any questions, just come up and talk to us. We're going to be there for a while, I think. Just join me in thanking one more person, and that's obviously Kate.
Oh.